Hi reader friends, it's Vanessa from The Cozy Chapter, and today I have 26 books coming out in December to add to your TBR. I have some amazing new books for you. I pulled from as many genres as I could. So let's get into it. Before we get started, I want to let you know that there will be links for everything down below and chapters, so feel free to skip around. Friends and Liars by Kit Frick. This is a new thriller coming out about four friends who are trapped in this Italian estate and they're forced to play some deadly games. This book sounds a little bit like I Know What You Did Last Summer mixed with In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. Dead Ringer by Chris Haughty. I just got this book as an ARC and you better believe it's at the top of my TBR. This is a book set in present day, but about a Secret Service agent who is no longer working for the Secret Service, and it sounds like he's a little bit disgraced. Something must have happened with him, and he's gonna dive into what happened during the JFK assassination. A Grimreaper's Guide to Cheating Death by Maxi Dara. This is a cozy fantasy about Nora, who is a scythe, which is a somewhat ironic career for her because she's completely afraid of death. And one day her twin brother's file comes across her desk, and now she's got to figure out how to save him. The Mating Game by Lana Ferguson. This book is about Tess and Hunter, and it's a paranormal romance. It's a follow-up to the book The Fake Mate. And Tess is a contractor on a television show, and she starts to have flu-like symptoms, shows up at an ER, and it turns out she is an Omega wolf. Hunter is a failing lodge owner, and he's gonna appear on Tess's television show. And Hunter also happens to be an alpha wolf. There's Always Next Year by Leah Johnson and George M. Johnson. So this is a romance that's set around New Year's Eve, and it is a double love story. I think this book is going to be perfect for the holiday season. One of our main characters is an influencer, and I love stories about influencers. The Bodyguard Affair by Amy Leah. I am really anticipating this romance coming out, and it is about a woman who is the personal assistant to the Prime Minister's wife in Canada, and in her spare time she writes romance novels. And she writes a novel called The Prime Minister and Me, and it leads people to believe that she is having an affair. So she decides to strike up a fake dating deal with the Prime Minister's bodyguard. Before I Forget by Toni Henwood Hone. This is a literary fiction, and it's a coming-of-age story as well. It's about a woman named Cricket who moves back home to be the caretaker for her father, who has Alzheimer's. And there's a really interesting element to this story where her father is forgetting the past, but he is able to prophesize the future. Television by Lauren Rothery. This is a debut literary fiction, and it's described as BoJack Horseman meets Joan Didion. That sounds very interesting. It's about a jaded actor and the two women in his orbit. The Library of Fates by Margot Harrison. This book is about a librarian who mysteriously dies, and two former classmates need to race to find a mysterious book that tells the future. The Heir Apparent by Rebecca Armitage. This is a story about a British princess set in present day who has to decide between, it sounds like, love and her duty to her family. For some reason, this one reminds me of the American Royal series. I don't know if it is going to be like that, but it looks interesting. Something Wicked by Fallon Ballard. This is described as a seductive romantasy that's Moulin Rouge meets Macbeth. And typically from Fallon Ballard, I've seen some cutesier looking romance books, so this one looks a lot more edgy than her previous books. The Definitions by Matt Green. This book looks so interesting to me. It's a dystopian novel, and it's about a group of individuals that go to this place called the Center to be rehabilitated because they had a mysterious illness that took away their memories. Dawn of the Firebird by Sarah Mughal Rana. And this is described as a fantasy that's for fans of the Poppy War, She Who Became the Sun, and The Will of the Many. That sounds like a lot to live up to. It's about the daughter of an overthrown emperor, and she goes undercover at the enemy's army school, and she's attempting to reclaim the throne for her family. The Curse of the Coal Woman by Mariel Thompson. And this one is supposed to be for fans of practical magic and spells for forgetting. And the cover definitely reminds me of Spells for Forgetting. It's about these generations of coal women who live on this island off of New Hampshire with this lighthouse on it. And they're cursed to be lost in the sea, but they feel obligated to stay there even though they know what their curse is and what will happen to them, because if they don't, then anyone who enters this sea will be drowned. My Fair Frauds by Lee Kelly and Jennifer Thorne. This is a historical fiction that takes place in the 1800s, and it's about a con woman who's posing as a duchess who's determined to take revenge on the men who destroyed her family. Persephone's Curse by Katrina Leno. This is a fantasy that seems like it has a lot going on. It's about these four sisters who are supposedly descendants of the goddess Persephone, and they currently live in Manhattan in a brownstone with a ghost in their attic. One of the sisters falls in love with the ghost, and he is banished to the underworld. So now they're tasked with saving him and really figuring out if they are actually descendants of Persephone. The Rebel and the Rose by Catherine Doyle. This is the second in the City of the Phantom series, and it's a YA romantasy novel. It's described as an enemies to lovers story, and I haven't read this series and I don't really know too much about it, so I don't want to share the synopsis just in case it gives anything away. The Time Hop Coffee Shop by Phaedra Patrick. This is a magical realism story about a woman named Greta who is married and has a teenage daughter, and her life is just not perfect. She comes across this magical coffee shop with this magical brew, and she has to decide whether she wants to live a perfect life or a real life. I'm currently reading this one as an ARC, and I like it so far, but we'll see where it goes. Seeing Other People by Emily Wibberley and Osman Sigmund Broca. This is a paranormal romance, and it is about a woman who is being haunted by her ex, and she no longer wants to be, and a man who is losing touch with the ghost of his wife. And they join a support group for people who are being haunted or have touch with the dead, and they meet each other and help each other through their unique journeys. Everyone in the Group Chat Dies by L.M. Chilton. This is described as a hilarious thriller about a TikTok true crime investigator and a murder mystery from the 90s. Tailored Realities by Brandon Sanderson. Brandon Sanderson is a very popular sci-fi and fantasy author, and this book is a short story collection, and it sounds like the stories are somehow related to some of his other books and universes that he's created. I think if you are a Brandon Sanderson fan, this is a definite must-buy. A Weekend on Allison Island by Susanna B. Lewis. This is a book about a group of 5 women who go on vacation on this island for one of the women's 50th birthday, and lots of secrets and cracks in their relationships seem to come to surface, and it's described as being good for fans of Elin Hildebrand. Love in Plain Sight by Lauren Connolly. This is another brother's best friend romance from this author, and it is about Beth, who is training to be a pilot, and George, who is going to give her flight lessons. And spoiler alert, I think they're gonna fall in love. In Your Dreams by Sarah Adams. This is the 4th in her When in Rome series, and these are adorable, cute romances that take place in the town of Rome, Kentucky. So this is about Madison, who is a chef who spent some time trying to make it in New York in the culinary world, and she decides to go back home and become a chef at a farm-to-table restaurant that is run by her brother's best friend. Ain't Nobody's Fool, The Life and Times of Dolly Parton by Martha Ackman. This is a biography about the country music legend and philanthropist Dolly Parton, and I think if you're a fan, this is a must read. An Arcane Inheritance by Camilla Cole. This is described as good for fans of Babel and A Deadly Education. This is the story about a woman named Ellery who goes to this Ivy League school called Warren University, and she begins to feel this sense of, I've been here before, and things seem familiar to her. This sense of deja vu starts to turn sinister. Those are all the releases I have for December 2025. Let me know which one you're adding to your TBR.